Welcome to MTN Outdoors.
Welcome everybody to this week's episode of MTN Outdoors. I am once again your guide, Andy Curtis. And just in case you didn't notice, it's a little hot out there right now. And just in case you didn't notice, it's a little smoky in some spots here in the state. That's because, just in case you didn't notice, we are in the middle of wildfire season. So in today's episode, we're going to take a look at some things that you can do to help protect your home and property just in case a fire comes rolling around. And the only thing that the state has more of than wildfires is mountains. So it kind of makes sense that the sport of mountain climbing is really gaining some traction. We will try and catch up with this group of rock and rollers coming up in today's episode. And it sure seems like bears have been in the news a lot here recently. Well, today's no exception. And it's not for great reasons either. First off, a food-conditioned bear has been euthanized in Glacier National Park. Park officials, in coordination with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, made that decision after the 5-year-old female grizzly received multiple food rewards from unsecured sources, causing it to exhibit increasingly aggressive behavior. Now, there are an estimated 300 grizzly bears in Glacier National Park, and numerous state and federal agencies work together to manage and recover the grizzly bear population in the northern Continental Divide ecosystem, which includes the park. And down at our other national park, a woman was found deceased just outside of West Yellowstone over a week ago. Now, according to Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks, the woman was found dead on the Buttermilk Trail just west of West Yellowstone. Investigators confirmed the presence of bear tracks at the scene. The Custer-Gallatin National Forest issued an emergency closure for the area, and the investigation was ongoing until recently. Now, no bear spray or firearm was found on the scene. Well, bears have been showing up in a lot of spots here in Montana that we're not used to seeing them, which means this next story shouldn't be too surprising, but it was to this man. MTN's Kelsey Marison has more.
It was everything but the typical day at the office for Mark Charlton after he discovered a bear in the driver's seat of his work van in Red Lodge Friday morning. That bear left its mark.
Wildlife from afar can be a thing of beauty.
You grew up in Montana and you've seen some bears before.
Yes.
But sometimes it can be too close for comfort.
It was just sitting right there?
Yep, sitting right here, and I did have a lot of dirt and clay.
Mark Charlton lives in Billings, but was down in Red Lodge Friday morning doing some work for a client when he encountered an unwelcome guest in his work van.
I heard something, and then I came out, and the bear popped out.
Luckily, the homeowner came to assist.
I called my homeowner, and so he came out and honked the honk. And he was there for almost an hour.
Eventually, the bear moved along, but not before finishing off a snack.
Was it messy?
Yes. and he eat all my lunch and everything.
It's a story few can tell, but Charlton isn't the first.
We called the sheriff's department, said there's a bear breaking in our car.
Last August, we introduced you to Mike and Maria Pilati, who also had a black bear get trapped inside their car near Red Lodge for almost 8 hours. It finally escaped after the Pilatis opened the door with a stick.
Popped the door of the car and the bear come roaring out of there.
But unlike the Pilatis, who ended up with a totaled vehicle, Charlton's van is somehow miraculously okay.
I cleaned it up. I mostly wiped it off.
But he now knows the importance of rolling up his windows and locking his doors well in bear country.
Were your windows rolled down?
Yes, all the way down, so there'd be somebody crawl inside. And we were close in town, and I didn't expect that. I was nervous. At least I'm okay.
In Red Lodge, Kelsey Marison, MTN News.
And now back to troubling wildlife news. Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks recently confirmed that they have detected a fungus that's responsible for killing more than 6 million bats nationwide here in a cave in Cascade County. The fungus can cause what is called white nose syndrome, and it was recently found in Lick Creek Cave. As you can see from these pictures, it causes a white fungus to grow on the face and wings of hibernating bats. It can cause the bats to emerge from hibernation early, and that exhausts their fat reserves that they need to survive the winter. FWP says Lick Creek Cave is one of the few caves here in the state that supports a large number of these hibernating bats. And while only the fungus has been confirmed, biologists say it's likely they will find infected bats in the same cave next year. The Forest Service is closing Lick Creek Cave and may close other neighboring caves in the area to try and prevent the collapse of the bat population. And when it comes to mountain climbing, this next story is about the all-time goats. Okay, yes, that was corny, but sometimes you just can't pass up a good pun. MTN's Tanner Saul explains.
In a world where peaks touch the sky and rugged slopes push the limits of possibility, there's a creature that reigns supreme, the incredible mountain goat. These animals are true masters of the rocky terrain, defying gravity with their nimble hooves and impressive agility. With the ability to conquer pitches exceeding a heart-stopping 60 degrees, they navigate slopes as steep as the nose on George Washington at Mount Rushmore. Similar to how expert rock climbers employ their fingers to ascend vertical walls, these hooves possess two toes that spread wide, granting them the ability to securely grip onto even the smallest rocky protrusions. Every step they take molds their hoof pads to the contours of the terrain, bestowing upon them a constant, customizable pair of climbing shoes that would make any fashion enthusiast envious. These specialized hooves have a hard outer shell and a soft, flexible inner pad, providing excellent traction on slippery surfaces. Their flawless balance lies not only in their hooves, but also in their ears, where a hidden secret resides. The inner ear is home to the cochlea and the main parts of the vestibular system. The vestibular system is one of the sensory systems that provides your brain with information about balance, motion, and the location of your head and body in relation to your surroundings. A mountain goat's middle ear is enlarged and gives them an amazing sense of balance. These adaptations help them maintain stability and prevent falls while navigating treacherous terrain. Short, sturdy legs and a heavy-set body also aid goats in agility and balance. In a display of awe-inspiring athleticism, mountain goats have been observed leaping nearly 12 feet in a single bound, a testament to their remarkable physical prowess. Mountain goats can also pull themselves up from ledge to ledge with just their front feet.
I guess the mountain goat ways has really rubbed off on me.
The mountain goat lifestyle is undeniably captivating. These creatures have adapted to the thin air of high altitude environments by developing highly efficient respiratory systems. Their expanded lung capacity enables them to extract an abundance of oxygen from the thin mountain air, while their elevated concentrations of red blood cells ensures the efficient transportation of this vital life force. The influence of mountain goats extends beyond their physical abilities. They play a vital role in maintaining the delicate balance of mountain ecosystems. Shaping plant communities through their grazing habits, their presence not only enhances the breathtaking beauty of these landscapes, but also contributes to the overall health and biodiversity of the mountains they call home. In the realm where peaks embrace the sky and rocky slopes dare all who venture, mountain goats stand as a living testament to the resilience, adaptability, and the harmonious connection between nature and its inhabitants.
In Missoula, Tanner Saul, MTN News.
So following that story, why not stay up in the high country and make mountain goats the topic of today's MTN Outdoors trivia question? So bring the family into the room and really focus, everybody, because today's question might not be as easy as you first think. So here we go, and this one is a simple true or false. Do female mountain goats have horns? Remember, this could be a tricky one, so don't jump to any conclusions about this right away, and hang around because we'll have your answer when we come back.
We now return to MTN Outdoors.
Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of MTN Outdoors. Thanks for spending some time with me. I'm Andy Curtis. And just before the break, I asked you today's MTN Outdoors trivia question. And in the outside chance, the very small, minuscule chance you weren't paying attention or you weren't watching, here it is one more time. This one is simple. It's true or false, but might not be as easy as you think. So here we go. Do female mountain goats have horns? If you said no, Think again. The answer is yes, absolutely yes. Yes, they do. Mountain goat horns for both sexes are smooth, sharp, and around 8 to 10 inches long. But female goats, or nannies, have their horns curve a little less and are a little thinner than male goats, also known as billies. Now, if you're in a situation, maybe like hunting, where you need to tell the two apart, you might want to pay attention to their body size. Big old billy goats can get up to around 300 pounds, while nannies are more svelte, usually topping out in the 150-pound range. Now, there's no question about it, mountain goats are the masters of high elevations, but there is this group attempting to give them a run for their money. MTN's Carter Culver has their story.
With an endless stream of beautiful mountains, Montana is home to some of the best rock climbing in the country. And one group of guys from the Flathead Valley is proving it is truly a sport for all ages.
And we're all the same age, roughly. I'm the youngest one. I'm 64. And we all have a great time. We don't come out here. We enjoy each other's company. It's not a competitive thing. It's just come out, enjoy the rocks, enjoy being outside. I mean, where else do you want to be on a nice day like today?
A former astronaut and having been climbing since 1976, Harrington moved to Montana in 2019 and found this group almost immediately.
I met him out at Kyla Cliffs. I was riding my bike. I heard the distinct clinking of climbing gear. And I thought, oh, probably a bunch of young guys. And I walked up, and here's a bunch of folks my age. And I was like, yeah, can I start climbing with you guys?
4 years later, the rest is history. And the group of 5 guys continue to climb together every single week.
It's really important not to stop moving. Inertia is a big deal in the world. And if you stop being active, that's it. You're going to stop being active. And I have no desire to sit in a rocking chair.
And as for what it means to have a group of people all within the same age range,
it's great. We encourage each other, and it's really motivating. I can watch Gary climb. He's 80 years old, and I know maybe I got a few years left in me, so I'm going to work hard to keep that going.
A former nuclear testing mechanic, Simoncic didn't start climbing until he was 65. 15 years later, he couldn't be happier he started when he did.
The guys I hung out with took a course, all about the same age, and I really didn't have an interest at first, and I tried it and got hooked.
At 80 years old, Simoncic is walking proof that anyone can pick up climbing at any point in their life.
Don't be frightened by it. You're on a rope. You're perfectly safe. Probably one of the safer sports as long as you follow the rules. And I encourage anybody to try, whatever the age. I've seen little kids do it, and I do it at my age.
In the Flathead, Carter Culver, MTN Sports.
For a view like this, you might have to take a hike, but it's all worth it once you get to the end. This on the trail is just outside of Red Lodge at West Fork Trail number 1, and the views out here are spectacular.
Babbling brooks and wildlife as far as the eye can see.
We had a moose come visit us at camp.
That looks like moose poop.
Just some of the features of West Fork Trail number 1, about 30 minutes east of Red Lodge.
I'm married and have a little boy, so I just wanted to bring him up here for a short hike.
It's family friendly, and 4-legged friends are more than welcome to join, on leash of course.
We have our little dogs too, so it's kind of an easy hike to these waterfalls up here.
Just make sure you know where you're headed. My family and I set out to enjoy the relaxing hike, but took a wrong turn.
Are you tired?
Nope.
After realizing our mistake, we headed back down the mountain towards the waterfalls, where we ran into Adam Restad, who had hiked up to Crow Lake.
Try to get up to the Beartooths as often as I can.
Restad frequents these trails and says they're more suited for experienced hikers.
Pretty strenuous. There's a lot of up and a lot of down.
For a more leisurely hike, head left at the trailhead and make your way to the falls, less than 5 miles round trip. Just make sure you're always on the lookout for signs.
This way takes you all the way up there. This way takes you to the waterfalls.
The first 1.5 miles is pretty exposed due to the 2008 Cascade Fire that scorched the area. But these views make up for the lack of shade. Along the trail, you'll hear the roaring waters as you approach Calamity and Sentinel Falls. You can even continue the hike to Quinnabaugh Meadows if you're up for a longer adventure.
I wouldn't say do it on a whim, but if you're feeling up for a challenge, go for it.
So whether you're looking for a quick day trip,
It's not too far of a drive from Billings,
or an overnight backpacking journey, the Custer Gallatin National Forest is ready for you. Near Red Lodge, Kelsey Marison, MTN News.
Sometimes our adventures here in Montana take us off the beaten path, which is great. Until it's not. This next story is an example of one of the times it was not, but this one does have a happy ending thanks to a couple of heroes.
In Livingston, at the North 89 Bridge fishing access site, the mighty Yellowstone River runs powerful.
I mean, it just really was like a miracle.
That's the best way Anna and her husband Caleb can explain what happened here. The family was heading on a backpacking trip.
Yeah, we were headed to the Crazies for the weekend. Yeah, to stay at a cabin and go backpacking.
They stopped to stretch their legs, but that's when they took notice of a family of 4 with 2 dogs.
Splashing in the river, and then one of the dogs gets caught in the current, can't get back.
We thought he would just grab the dog and kind of float downriver, but they were just both stuck. So I called 911.
Yeah.
Then when the man's wife also got caught up in the river to help, Anna and Caleb sprang into action.
So he grabbed rope from his car, tied it to the board, held on to it, started to throw it out, and about that time, the woman, I think she just gave out, and she started to float downriver.
Anna stayed on the phone with dispatchers, watching the woman float downstream while Caleb worked to pull the man back to shore.
But then she washed up.
And Anna knew it was her time to act.
She got spit out on the rocks. Yeah. He was able to navigate me to her. I came down the bank and stayed with her, just kept her awake until fire and rescue got there.
Everyone survived, with the Rogers to thank.
We value life, and I think anyone would have done what we did.
Even the Park County Sheriff's Office posting to social media about the rescue, because this particular spot in the river can prove deadly.
The sheriff told us that they had lost a family in that same place on the river. He said it's the most dangerous part of the river.
For a family who loves adventure, this is a trip they'll never forget.
Thankful that everybody got to go home.
Taking another life lesson along for the ride.
Yeah, enjoy every day.
Yeah.
Live for a purpose.
In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
We now return to MTN Outdoors.
There's not a ton that we agree on anymore, with the exception of one thing: huckleberries. We all love them, whether you pick them yourself from the side of a mountain or you get them from a gas station. We love huckleberries so much here in the state, we made them our official state fruit this last legislative session.
I'm here today to ask you to vote for House Bill 880 to make the huckleberry our state fruit.
And when a whole bunch of school kids love something, you know you're on the right track. But have you ever stopped and wondered why we love this wild berry so much?
It might turn your poop purple.
Well, yeah, there's that. But there's also this.
This is where we're at, and this is what we eat, and this is who we are.
That's Chris Abrego. He's the man behind the Copper Line in Helena and Hardware Cafe in Montana City. Both locations boast a robust menu featuring huckleberries in items like sauces and Chris's favorite, the milkshake. Now, hucks show up in so many recipes and foods all across the state, not just because they're good to eat, but because they are Montana, meaning anyone can pick them almost anywhere, and they connect us with the land, even if you buy them in taffy form. And Chris, like many cooks, is taking that connection and trying to develop a regional flavor and technique with his food by using this well-rounded berry.
What I love about huckleberries is that they're a really well-balanced berry. They're not always overpoweringly sweet, and they got just a little bit of acidity, so they're really nice just to add into things when you want to keep things kind of light but super full of flavor.
Chris and his staff don't stop there though. His quest to cook Montana style is leading him to try and perfect a cooking discipline that should be a Montana staple, but is actually a lot trickier than you think.
You know, we're out here breaking land, being really close to the earth, and you would think that barbecue, being a primarily wood cooking method, we would have more barbecue up here. Well, it turns out that the cedar and the pine trees, they have too much sap in the wood, so the the smokiness carries a lot of that sap with it and ends up with kind of a bitter, acrid kind of flavor on the meat. So what I've had to do actually is source cherry wood from the Flathead and then go even further west to the Yakima Valley in Washington.
And for you at-home cooks with a jar of freshly picked huckleberries in the kitchen, Chris says the big sky is the limit for using the state's official fruit. Sort of.
I would think that maybe like throwing them in with some fish or like a seafood stew might be a little far, but I don't know. You know, my mind is always being blown with new things all the time.
The Montana City Firewise Demonstration Garden can not only help beautify your yard, but also help protect your home in case of a wildfire.
We really want people to be safe in their homes. We want them to think about what their homes are made of. That's what our signs talk about and the brochures talk about, what's growing around your home.
Drought-tolerant and fire-resistant plants can not only help your property look good, but can also help mitigate fire risk. That's the idea at the Montana City Firewise Demonstration Garden, created through a partnership between the Tri-County Fire Safe Working Group and the Montana City Volunteer Fire Department. Folks can visit and get ideas at the garden, which is full of around 100 various plants that can be placed on your property, all while posing less of a fire risk than other highly flammable plants. Additionally, the garden utilizes gravel pathways and land cover, great for reducing fire risk. Lois Olson, the volunteer project manager for the Firewise Garden, says the point of the garden is to encourage folks to be fire safe and understand that changing a few things around and on their home can make all the difference in the face of a wildfire.
The best safety zone for a home is to have the fire on the ground when it reaches your home. If it's in the trees, if it's throwing a lot of embers, you're going to be a lot less safe, and that structure is going to be very difficult to protect. If you can get the fire on the ground and not running fast, that's your best safety zone. And so that's what we're trying to do here with the gravel, the types of plants, the zones, just to have people be aware of those things and be safe in your home.
This garden has been made possible in large part by hardworking volunteers who have already garnered 500 hours of work time. Eventually, there are plans to install some informative signs around the garden as well as a pavilion. Reporting in Montana City, Tom Buchanan, MTN News.
All right, thanks again, everybody, and until next week, stay safe, and I'll see you out there.